It is official that the pound-for-pound king, Terence "Bud" Crawford, has agreed in principle to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, Saul Canelo Alvarez. So Canelo Alvarez has agreed. Terence Crawford, we knew he was going to agree. And they're working out the details to showcase their talents. Riyadh season, Cinco de Mayo weekend in May.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Hell of a fight.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight. It's really, really hard for me to see Canelo losing to Crawford. But it's also, there's things that I can see that Crawford is so good at.
Yeah.
That it's like, I can't see him not being able to be sharp and do that round after round, man.
Canelo versus Crawford. It's a battle of power and talent. But can Crawford overcome the challenge of moving up in weight? Let's hear from the experts. Sergio Mora believes Crawford's incredible skill might just help him pull off the upset. Still, the big question remains. Will the weight jump be too much for the welterweight star?
It happened in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
Andre Rozier, a well-known boxing coach, shared his opinion on Terence Crawford possibly moving up to face Canelo Alvarez. Although Crawford recently secured a win at welterweight, Rozier feels that challenging Canelo in a heavier division might be asking too much.
The only thing he could possibly do at this point to regain that status is to beat someone of note in another weight class. And
Rozier admits that Crawford moving up to 154 pounds could make sense, but strongly questions the idea of going further to face Canelo, calling it a risky and dangerous move.
54 is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fighting, quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it.
Rozier's warning points to the huge challenge Crawford would face against a top pound-for-pound star like Canelo, especially with such a big weight gap. So what do you think? Is Crawford pushing his limits too far, or could he surprise the world once again? Canelo Alvarez has shared his thoughts on a possible fight with Terence Crawford, sparking excitement among boxing fans across the globe.
Yes, it is official that the pound-for-pound king, 4-division world champion, 2-division undisputed world champion, and reigning WBA junior middleweight world champion, superstar boxer, Terence "Bud" Crawford, future first ballot Hall of Famer, undefeated, 41 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout, 37 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach, has agreed in principle. We knew he was going to agree to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, former undisputed super middleweight world champion, and reigning unified super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo.
Mexican star Canelo Alvarez has hinted that he's ready to take on Terence Crawford, building hype around what could become one of boxing's biggest matchups. This potential clash would bring together two top fighters at the peak of their careers.
His name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if it's a fight.
The showdown between Canelo and Crawford is shaping up to be massive. Canelo, the undisputed super middleweight champ, has ruled his division with strength and accuracy. On the other hand, Crawford, known as one of the most skilled fighters of this era, combines technical brilliance with smart strategy, earning him a top spot in the pound-for-pound rankings.
See, he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He's a good fighter.
Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion, hasn't backed down from the idea of facing Terence Crawford. While Crawford's jump to a heavier weight has sparked debate, Canelo remains confident he can handle the smaller fighter. Speaking on Sway's universe, he made it clear he's open to the fight and sees it as a chance to make a strong statement.
Be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
Fine.
Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, comes down.
That'll work. Yeah, so if
yeah,
you're in. So if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight for me.
Canelo's comments show he believes the weight difference gives him a clear edge over Crawford. With a track record of beating top opponents at super middleweight, Canelo seems to see this potential fight more as a big payday than a real threat. But for fans and experts, Crawford's skill and drive could make the outcome less predictable than Canelo expects. While Canelo has shown interest in the matchup, he also opened up about his thoughts on Crawford's style, admitting it would be a tough challenge. Still, the undisputed champ made it clear the fight could happen, especially if the money is right.
I'm in, because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So
Canelo's remarks reveal how complex this fight really is. While he respects Crawford's talent, he remains confident that his size advantage gives him the upper hand. His focus on money and fighting style suggests he sees the bout more as a big event and payday than a true competitive test. This adds fuel to the ongoing debate. Can Crawford's skills overcome the weight gap, or is Canelo right to rely on size as the deciding factor? It's also a shift in tone for Canelo, who once hesitated to face Crawford, saying he wouldn't get much credit for beating a smaller fighter.
Everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 ways class.
I respect Crawford. He's a great fighter, and I always say that. No disrespect him, but sometimes it's a little crazy that people talking about a small fighter like Charlo. He's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford, fighter 147, who is smaller than Charlo. So no make sense when you guys say that right now. At the end of the day, I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, but you never know. You never know in boxing. I'll go up and down and fight everybody out there. So it's possible. Why not? It's possible.
And I can't go down anymore. But like he say, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, and then he need to enjoy.
Meanwhile, Crawford has remained determined to make the fight happen, showing he's willing to move up 2 weight classes to prove his greatness.
Canelo gets through Jamel, and then you guys fight. That fight would be gigantic.
And it's crazy because, like, in the past interviews, I was like, man, Canelo too big, man. It's weight classes for a reason. I was like, nah. But in my mind, in my heart, I don't think nobody too big, especially in a fight. I'm a fighter. But, like, I was thinking, like, man, it could happen. So you start really sitting down like, man, that fight maybe can happen. Okay, so now you start.
Crawford knows the size difference will be a major factor against Canelo and openly admits it. Still, he's confident he can rise to the challenge and use his boxing skills to take control of the fight.
Bigger than me, but I'm faster. So then you start doing the advantages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, man, we right there.
Yeah.
We right there, you know what I mean? So I was like, man.
And it's not like he didn't go up in weight as well.
Keith Thurman, former world champion and now a boxing analyst, recently explained why Terence Crawford might see openings in Canelo Alvarez. Referring to Canelo's performance against Jermall Charlo, Thurman pointed out certain moments that could boost Crawford's confidence. His breakdown suggests that Crawford's strategic mind might be spotting patterns that most fighters overlook.
And when Canelo fought Charlo, besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no...
Thurman explained that while Charlo adjusted defensively after the knockdown to avoid further damage, he didn't fire back enough, giving Canelo the upper hand. According to Thurman, Crawford, famous for his ability to adapt and attack smartly, probably sees a chance to step in during those moments, using both defense and pressure to turn the fight in his favor.
Seeing what I saw, I believe Crawford saw the same thing. If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, once he got dropped, spider senses, boom, fully awakened, right? Boom. So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having big consequences against Canelo.
Thurman's insight suggests that Crawford is closely analyzing Canelo's recent fights to spot weaknesses in his offense. While Charlo focused mostly on defense to make it through the fight, Crawford might take a different approach, mixing smart defense with his sharp boxing skills to both limit Canelo's power and create openings to score. Still, Thurman made it clear that facing Canelo is dangerous. Just one mistake could change everything in an instant.
Crawford is trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He did his I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges, you weirdos, you guys suck ass. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident.
Renowned sports analyst Stephen A. Smith recently gave his thoughts on the potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Known for his bold opinions, Smith broke down the matchup by weighing Crawford's superior boxing skills against Canelo's strength and physical presence. While he praised both fighters, he pointed out the key elements that could decide the outcome.
Catches him, it could be trouble. But I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful. And I'm wondering whether he could stay away. Crawford is the superior boxer. But if he can't hurt Canelo, you can't keep him off of him. And that's where the problem lies.
What do you think a win like that would do for Crawford? Would that put him
Mayweather? He and I spoke about it. Spoke about it in Vegas.
Smith's breakdown focuses on the delicate balance between skill and power. He believes Crawford's technique could cause problems for Canelo, but without enough punching power, he might struggle to keep the aggressive Mexican champ at bay. Smith also took a deeper look at Canelo's fighting style and warned that if Crawford gets caught with a clean shot, the consequences could be serious.
Canelo is a very powerful individual who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot. But to me, can Crawford hurt him? I would pick Crawford to win if he can box and stay away. I don't believe he can hurt Canelo. And if Canelo catches him, it could be trouble. But I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful.
Smith's prediction reflects the high stakes of this possible showdown. On one side, Crawford's technical skill could expose Canelo's reliance on power shots. On the other, Canelo's strength and knockout power might shut down Crawford's finesse. As fans and experts continue to debate, Smith's take highlights just how close and intense this fight could be. Despite the questions, the potential matchup has fired up boxing fans around the world. The mix of power, speed, skill, and charisma from both fighters makes this a must-see event. Adding to the discussion, welterweight contender Alexis Rocha, who has sparred with both Canelo and Crawford, shared his unique insight. Having felt their styles firsthand, Rocha acknowledged the clear size difference, but also praised the talent each fighter brings to the table.
I mean, Terence Crawford, yes, there is weight classes for a reason. Canelo is a lot bigger. Crawford has that, he also has a good size to him where he has that good size and he has that reach and he has that boxing IQ. That's the most important thing when it comes to a boxing game is the IQ. I think Crawford will hold his own very good in that fight. But I will lean a little bit more towards Canelo given the fact that he's more experienced and he's been in there with big...
Rocha's analysis echoes the common view around this potential matchup. Canelo's size and power could be a major obstacle for Crawford, even with his superior boxing IQ and adaptability. For Rocha, it's the mix of Canelo's strength and ring experience that gives him the upper hand. His take adds more fuel to the ongoing debate. Can Crawford's skill truly overcome the limits of boxing's weight divisions? As of now, Canelo hasn't confirmed who he'll fight in 2025, but the chances of facing Terence Crawford are growing. Crawford has openly said he wants the fight and has directly called out the Mexican star. He's just waiting on Canelo's response.
Serious about fighting Canelo Alvarez?
Of course.
I know you're serious, but I've got to ask you for the people that are watching.
Of course.
Are you confident that that fight is a fight that you can win?
Well, I'm always confident that I can win any fight that I step foot in the ring. You know, Canelo is a big, strong competitor. He's a great fighter. He's a future Hall of Famer. And that's what we in the game for, is to leave a legacy that will last.
Now, outlets like FTV Boxing report that Crawford is one of the names on Canelo's shortlist for a possible fight, and he may be the top pick for Canelo's return to the ring in May. While the fight date at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas hasn't been officially confirmed, buzz is building. Former welterweight champion Sean Porter, who's faced Crawford in the ring, has voiced concern about Canelo stepping up for this matchup. While Porter respects Crawford's boxing ability, he worries that the size and power gap could be a serious danger for Crawford in this high-stakes fight.
It's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another. You know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out.
Porter's warning highlights the physical challenge Crawford would face against someone like Canelo, who has shown serious knockout power at higher weight classes. While Crawford's skill and adaptability are well known, Porter's concerns point to the real risk of moving up to fight a much bigger opponent. This deepens the ongoing debate. Can Crawford's talent overcome the size gap, or is he walking into a fight where the odds are heavily against him? Adding to the buzz, trainer Robert Garcia has hinted at the matchup, and reports say Crawford is on Canelo's shortlist for his Cinco de Mayo return. While nothing is official yet, rumors suggest the fight could land in Las Vegas, with a potential date in May 2025 already creating major excitement in the boxing world.
I think Crawford is looking at, just a huge fight with Canelo, and if he doesn't get it, he might not even fight anymore, because he's told me that before. But there's so many other fights out there too. We'll just take it fight by fight with
Virgil Elisa recently mentioned that the Canelo versus Crawford fight could be moved to June, as it might be a better month to host the event. While nothing is officially confirmed yet, it's well known that May is usually preferred for major Mexican fights in the US due to pay-per-view benefits. That said, Crawford isn't the only possible opponent for Canelo's next defense of the unified super middleweight title. Christian Billy, the WBC's top contender at 168 pounds, is also in the mix. However, the Golden Boy camp hasn't officially named him as a mandatory challenger.
I get asked this all the time. I almost hate asking you, but if someone's willing to put up the 250 million,
I mean,
would you negotiate down?
No less than 200.
No less than 200.
Ooh.
On the other hand, if Canelo is offered $200 million, he'd be willing to fight David Benavidez. Meanwhile, Dimitri Bivol also remains a possible option for a rematch. Although Bivol has said he's open to facing Canelo again, he's made it clear that it's not his main focus right now, as he has other goals he wants to pursue.
In Crawford, what will make sense? There's a couple of names out there. Benavidez, but we know that.
There are only a few real options left for Canelo outside of Benavidez and Crawford. But a fight between Canelo and Crawford, especially if held in the US, could possibly break the 1 million pay-per-view mark. Of Crawford's past PPV events, his dominant win over Errol Spence was the most successful, with around 700,000 buys in the US alone. Canelo, on the other hand, has fought 16 times on pay-per-view, reaching a combined 11.6 million homes and generating nearly $1 billion. There are rumors that Turki Alalshik could help fund the event in Las Vegas. While nothing is confirmed yet, when big money is involved, anything is possible, and we all know the Saudi backer is willing to pay huge amounts to make fights happen. Analyst is reportedly still very interested in making Canelo versus Crawford a reality. If it happens, it would be a clash between two modern legends. Crawford, at 41-0 with world titles in 4 weight classes, would be taking a huge risk by stepping up to 168 pounds. But he has already said he's willing to fight Canelo at that weight. On the other side, Canelo, turning 35 this July, may have slowed slightly, possibly giving Crawford an opening to outbox him and win on points. Still, Crawford is 37, and while he hasn't shown any signs of decline, anything can happen, especially in a fight of this scale. If this historic showdown lands on May 3rd, it could be the biggest event in boxing. The question remains, will Crawford's technical brilliance be enough to overcome Canelo's power, or is the size difference just too much? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.